Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying my videos, please click the like button. It is the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. I would be very grateful to you. The Devil and the Denim Jacket. Scary story published by Scare Fiction. Read for you by Scare Fiction. Chapter 1. The Lost Soul. Sarah clutched her lukewarm coffee, the steam swirling around her like a comforting, but ultimately ineffective, shield. Cavernous college cafeteria echoed with the cacophony of 100 conversations, each one a vibrant tapestry woven from laughter, gossip, and shared dreams. Yet, Sarah remained an island unto herself. Her fingers traced the worn grooves of her well-loved paperback, its worn cover a testament to countless escapes into fictional worlds. Real life, however, seemed stubbornly resistant to her yearning for belonging. Every attempt at conversation with classmates ended with an awkward silence or a polite dismissal. She was a shadow at the edge of the spotlight, forever yearning for the warmth of genuine human connection. The town of Elmwood, where Sarah's college resided, mirrored her own sense of quiet isolation. Nestled amidst rolling hills and whispering pines, it appeared to be the quintessential American small town. Surface normalcy, however, couldn't dim the undercurrent of a strange secrecy that always lingered at the periphery of Sarah's awareness. The boarded-up windows of a grand Victorian mansion on Elm Street whispered of hidden histories, and the unsettling silence emanating from the town cemetery after dusk sent shivers down her spine. Elmwood held its secrets close, a subtle unease simmering beneath its seemingly ordinary facade. Lunchtime was nearing its end, and Sarah, defeated by the loneliness gnawing at her, decided to explore a part of town she hadn't ventured into before. Tucked away on a cobblestone alleyway, a crooked sign hung precariously over a dusty window. The Curious Crow, Antiques, and Oddities. An inexplicable pull drew Sarah towards the store. Maybe, amidst the clutter of the past, she might find a kindred spirit, a relic whispering tales of a time when connection was easier. The bell above the door chimed a discordant melody as Sarah entered. Inside, a labyrinth of memories lay in wait. A kaleidoscope of dusty curios crowded the shelves, chipped porcelain dolls with vacant eyes, a tarnished silver locket etched with forgotten initials, and a moth-eaten fox fur stole that seemed to hold the echoes of past winters. The air hung heavy with the scent of time, each object a fragment of a forgotten story. As Sarah navigated the maze, a glint of indigo caught her eye. Tucked away in a forgotten corner, a denim jacket hung, bathed in a sliver of afternoon sunlight. It was simple, a classic design untouched by the fleeting trends of fashion. But it was the inscription on the inner lining that truly captivated her. The faded embroidery shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence, the glyphs dancing like living flames. An unfamiliar warmth spread through Sarah, a sense of purpose awakening within her. This wasn't just a jacket. It was a key, a promise whispered on ancient threads. In that dusty corner, surrounded by the whispers of yesterday, Sarah stumbled upon a mystery that promised to crack open the secrets of Elmwood, and perhaps unlock a path towards connection, toward a place where she wouldn't be lost anymore. Chapter 2. A Change of Heart. Sarah's fingers grazed the worn leather of the jacket, the indigo denim cool against her fingertips. It held a subtle, rebellious charm, a stark contrast to her usual collection of faded sweaters and oversized cardigans. The inscription on the lining, though indecipherable, pulsed with a faint, otherworldly luminescence, drawing her gaze like a moth to a flame. A flicker of curiosity ignited within her, a spark challenging the familiar ache of loneliness. Was this just a dusty relic, or something more? The inscription whispered of secrets, of a world hidden just beneath the surface of Elmwood's normalcy. Perhaps this jacket was the key, a passport to a place where she wouldn't be invisible anymore. With a newfound resolve, Sarah approached the counter, the worn leather jacket cradled in her arms. The store owner, a wizened old man with eyes that held the wisdom of centuries, gave her a knowing smile as he rang her up. "An excellent choice," he rumbled, his voice like dry leaves rustling in the wind. "Take good care of it, young miss. It has stories to tell." Back in the solitude of her dorm room, Sarah shrugged on the jacket. It fit perfectly, as if tailored specifically for her. A subtle shift seemed to occur within her as the denim embraced her frame. Her posture straightened, a newfound confidence blooming in her chest. The weight of loneliness that had become a constant companion seemed to lessen, replaced by a lightness she hadn't felt in years. Emboldened by this unexpected change, Sarah decided to venture out of her dorm room. In the hallway, she bumped into Emily, a classmate known for her infectious laugh and vibrant social circle. Sarah had always admired Emily from afar, but the thought of initiating conversation had always filled her with dread. This time, however, the words tumbled out effortlessly. "Hey, Emily," she said, surprised by the steadiness of her voice. "That was a great presentation in Professor Lee's class today." Emily, momentarily surprised by Sarah's approach, returned the smile. "Thanks, Sarah. I was actually a little nervous about it." A conversation unfolded, easy and natural. Sarah found herself sharing her own insights on the lecture, her voice gaining strength with every word. They discussed upcoming assignments, debated the merits of the college cafeteria food, mostly in agreement, and even made plans to study together for the upcoming midterm. As Sarah retreated back to her dorm room, a smile bloomed on her face. The change was undeniable. The inscription on the jacket, once a mystery, now felt like a promise whispered on ancient threads. This wasn't just a change of clothes, it was a transformation, a newfound courage blossoming within her. The world, once a place of cold indifference, now shimmered with possibility. The lost soul, it seemed, was starting to find her way. Chapter 3: The New Sarah. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of change for Sarah. Gone were the days spent clinging to the edges of conversations, a ghost yearning to be seen. The jacket, a constant companion draped over her arm or worn proudly, seemed to act as a charm, drawing people towards her. Conversations flowed effortlessly. Classmates complimented her newfound confidence, even admiring her style, a concept that had previously seemed so foreign to her. However, beneath the surface of this newfound popularity, a disquieting undercurrent began to stir. Sarah's sleep became plagued by unsettling dreams. Whispers, carried on unseen winds, echoed in the vast emptiness of her subconscious. Flickering shadows danced at the periphery of her vision, twisting and contorting into monstrous shapes. Waking drenched in cold sweat, a sense of unease clung to her like a shroud. The source of this newfound confidence gnawed at the edges of her mind. Was it the jacket? Was it simply a matter of finally stepping outside her comfort zone? The answer remained elusive, a tantalizing mystery just beyond her grasp. One afternoon, while hunched over her textbooks in the library, a sliver of sunlight caught the inscription on the jacket's inner lining. As she peered closer, a jolt of shock ran through her. The glyphs, once shimmering with a faint luminescence, now writhed with an unnatural energy. They seemed to pulse and shift, as if rearranging themselves into a new configuration, a language whispering promises Sarah couldn't decipher. Fear, cold and sharp, pricked at her. The jacket, once a symbol of liberation, now felt like a weight, a tether to something unknown. The whispers in her dreams intensified, becoming clearer, more insistent. They spoke of power, of belonging, but also of a price, a debt to be paid. Torn between the intoxicating allure of newfound confidence and the creeping unease gnawing at her soul, Sarah found herself at a crossroads. Embrace the change the jacket offered and risk succumbing to an unknown darkness, or relinquish the newfound connection and retreat back into the comforting yet isolating shadows of her old life. The inscription seemed to writhe in mockery, a silent reminder of the choice that lay before her. Chapter 4. The Price of Power. The decision hung heavy in the air, a suffocating weight pressing down on Sarah. Sleep offered no solace, the dreams intensifying into vivid nightmares. Yet, the newfound confidence, the ease with which she navigated the social landscape, held an undeniable allure. It was an intoxicating power, one she wasn't sure she was ready to relinquish. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Sarah strolled across campus, a commotion erupted near the student center. A crow, its feathers ruffled and eyes gleaming with an unnatural intelligence, swooped down upon a fellow student. Its beak, sharp as a dagger, plunged into the unsuspecting victim's arm, drawing a scream of pain. The crow, its attack complete, cawed triumphantly and disappeared into the canopy of trees. Sarah froze, rooted to the spot, the symbol on the jacket's lining. The one that had begun to writhe with an unsettling energy seemed to echo in the crow's malevolent gaze. Had she imagined it? Was the stress of newfound popularity manifesting in terrifying hallucinations? Panic clawed at her throat, and she stumbled back to her dorm room, the image of the crow's attack replaying on a loop in her mind. The inscription on the jacket seemed to mock her, a silent confirmation of the darkness that had begun to seep into her life. Desperate for a voice of reason, Sarah reached out to Emily, the classmate she'd befriended. Emily, known for her bubbly personality and unwavering loyalty, was surprised by Sarah's sudden urgency. In hushed tones, Sarah confessed everything: the jacket, the dreams, the unsettling encounter with the crow. As Sarah spoke, a flicker of concern crossed Emily's face. When she finished, a weighty silence descended upon the room. Finally, Emily spoke, her voice laced with trepidation. "Sarah," she began, "there's something different about you lately. Not bad, necessarily, but different. There's a darkness in your eyes I haven't seen before." Sarah recoiled, a surge of anger battling with a cold dread. Was Emily right? Was the price of the jacket's power a piece of her own soul? The inscription on the lining seemed to writhe in agreement, a silent promise of power at a terrible cost. Sarah clutched the jacket, its worn leather suddenly feeling cold and alien against her skin. The once comforting symbol of change now felt like a chain binding her to an unknown darkness. Chapter 5. Unveiling the Darkness. Sleep evaded Sarah that night. The image of the crow's attack, the chilling echo of the inscription in its eyes, played on repeat in her mind. Emily's words, "a darkness in your eyes," echoed in her ears, a stark confirmation of her own growing fear. The once comforting warmth of the jacket now felt like a vise around her chest, a constant reminder of the price she might have unwittingly paid. Determined to understand what was happening, Sarah embarked on a desperate research mission. She scoured the town library, devouring dusty local history tomes and faded newspaper microfiche. Days turned into nights, fueled by a frantic need for answers. Then, buried deep within a forgotten manuscript, she found it a chilling legend about a cursed denim jacket. The tale spoke of a rebellious spirit trapped within the fabric, seeking a vessel to wield its power in the mortal realm. The inscription on the lining, once indecipherable, now seemed to writhe with a terrifying clarity as Sarah finally understood its meaning. It was a demonic pact, a promise of power in exchange for servitude. The inscription spoke of manipulation, of feeding on the deepest desires of the wearer, fueling their confidence in exchange for a slow, insidious possession. Panic surged through Sarah, a cold dread that coiled in her gut. The newfound confidence, the ease with which she navigated the social landscape, it all made a horrifying sense now. She hadn't discovered her own power. She had been a puppet manipulated by a malevolent force. With a trembling hand, Sarah dialed the number scrawled on a dusty business card tucked away in her pocket. The contact information for the wizened old man from the antique store, the Curious Crow. "Mr. Crowley?" She stammered into the phone, her voice barely a whisper. "Ah, Sarah." The voice crackled through the receiver, a knowing rasp. "I see. The jacket has begun to reveal its secrets." A wave of relief washed over her, quickly replaced by a surge of fear. "There's something wrong with me, isn't there? The jacket, it's cursed." Mr. Crowley finished her sentence, his voice devoid of surprise. "A powerful artifact, but a dangerous one. It feeds on ambition, twisting desires into dark bargains." He agreed to meet Sarah at his store, a beacon of hope in the midst of her growing despair. As she hung up the phone, Sarah knew the fight for her soul had just begun. The inscription on the jacket seemed to thrum with a renewed hunger, but this time, Sarah wouldn't be a willing participant. She would face the darkness within, armed with the knowledge of its true nature, and with the help of Mr. Crowley, fight to reclaim her own life. Chapter 6. Confrontation. Heart pounding, Sarah raced towards the Curious Crow. The once familiar jacket now felt like a burning weight, the inscription writhing beneath her fingertips like a nest of vipers. Panic rose in her throat as she realized a terrifying truth: the jacket wasn't coming off. Clung to her skin, a cold, clammy second layer defying her desperate attempts to tear it free. Her breath hitched as she reached the store. Mr. Crowley stood behind the counter, his eyes filled with a solemn understanding. The air crackled with a strange energy, and the shadows seemed to writhe and dance in the dim light. "It has begun," Mr. Crowley rumbled, his voice grave. "The pact tightens its hold." As Sarah stumbled through the story of her horrifying realization, the inscription on the jacket pulsed with a malevolent light. It seemed to writhe and shift, forming into grotesque faces that whispered promises of power in exchange for complete surrender. Sarah fought back the rising tide of darkness, clinging to the last vestiges of her own will. Suddenly, the air shimmered, and a figure materialized before them. Tall and cloaked in shadow, it exuded an aura of chilling charisma. Crimson eyes, devoid of warmth, pierced through Sarah, searching for a spark of weakness. "A commendable struggle, child," the figure spoke, its voice a velvet caress laced with ice. "But why resist? Power beyond your wildest dreams awaits. Embrace the darkness, and the world will tremble at your feet." Sarah felt a tug within, a seductive whisper urging her to give in. The promise of power, of belonging, was intoxicating. But then, she saw Mr. Crowley's unwavering gaze, a silent reminder of the cost of such power. Images of the crow's attack, the fear in Emily's eyes, flashed through her mind, a stark reminder of the darkness already seeping in. No, she wouldn't become a puppet, a slave to a malevolent entity. With a surge of defiance, Sarah straightened her spine and met the figure's gaze. "I won't be your pawn," she declared, her voice stronger than she could have imagined. The room crackled with a sudden surge of energy. Cloaked figure remained, but it no longer appeared omnipotent. A flicker of surprise, a hint of frustration, darted across its crimson eyes. This wasn't the complete surrender it had craved. This was just the beginning. Sarah, though far from free, had taken a stand. The fight for her soul had reached a new level, and the jacket, once a symbol of change, now served as a constant reminder of the darkness she refused to succumb to. As the air settled, the figure smiled, a predator sizing up its prey. "A valiant effort, child," it purred. "But know this, the game has only just begun." With a final, chilling laugh, Sarah, shaken but resolute, knew the battle was far from over. The inscription on the cursed jacket still pulsed, a malevolent presence clinging to her. But in that confrontation, she had discovered a spark of defiance, a flicker of hope that burned bright in the face of encroaching darkness. Chapter 7: Desperate Measures. The echo of the figure's laughter lingered in the air, a chilling reminder of the fight ahead. Sarah slumped against the counter, the cursed jacket a burning weight against her skin. Mr. Crowley, his face etched with concern, placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "There is hope, Sarah," he said, his voice a low rumble. "But the path will be arduous." He explained a plan, a desperate gamble whispered on the wind through generations of protectors like him. It involved an ancient ritual, one requiring forgotten symbols etched onto a stone tablet buried deep within the town library's restricted archives. The ritual, powered by Sarah's will, could sever the pact woven into the jacket's fibers. However, there was a catch. The ritual demanded a sacrifice, a replacement for the jacket's hold on Sarah. It needed to be an object imbued with her true self, a symbol of who she was before the darkness took root. As they scoured the library's dusty archives, a wave of despair washed over Sarah. What object could possibly outweigh the seductive power the jacket wielded? Then, her eyes fell on a faded photograph, tucked away in a dusty box. It was a picture from her childhood, a younger Sarah beaming brightly, a worn teddy bear clutched tightly in her arms. The memory flooded back, a loyal companion through countless childhood nights, a source of comfort and unwavering love. Hope, fragile but tenacious, flickered within her. This wasn't just a stuffed animal. It was a symbol of innocence, of the kind and compassionate girl she didn't want to lose. Back at the store, the air crackled with a tense energy as they assembled the ritual. Mr. Crowley chanted archaic words, their power resonating through the room. The inscription on the jacket writhed in protest, pulsing with a malevolent light. Images flashed in Sarah's mind, horrifying visions of a future where she had succumbed, becoming a vessel for the entity's power. The world dissolved into chaos. Shadows writhed, and the air grew thick with a suffocating darkness. Fear threatened to consume her, but Sarah clung to the memory of the teddy bear, the symbol of her true self. With a final, desperate cry, she channeled her will, her defiance against the encroaching darkness. The room pulsed with a blinding light, forcing her eyes shut. When she opened them again, the shadows were gone. Mr. Crowley stood before her, a grimace on his face. The jacket lay crumpled on the floor, lifeless and inert. In its place, nestled in her lap, lay the worn teddy bear, its one remaining button gleaming faintly in the dim light. The curse was broken, for now, but Sarah knew the entity wasn't vanquished. It would watch, waiting for a moment of weakness. The fight for her soul was far from over. Yet, with the determination burning bright in her eyes and the symbol of her true self clutched in her hand, Sarah was ready. Chapter 8: Reclamation. The air crackled with a raw energy, the remnants of the broken ritual swirling around them. Mr. Crowley's face was pale, etched with the strain of the confrontation. Sarah, trembling but resolute, clutched the worn teddy bear, its threadbare fur a beacon of comfort in the face of the unseen darkness. A low, chilling hum resonated in the room, a prelude to the entity's final attempt. Cloaked figure materialized before them, its crimson eyes burning with malevolent fury. "Foolish child," it boomed, its voice a chorus of whispers. "You think this quaint ritual can sever a pact forged in power?" Fear threatened to drown Sarah, but Emily stepped forward, her voice ringing with unwavering loyalty. "You underestimate her strength," she declared. "She has tasted your darkness and chooses the light." Mr. Crowley added his voice, a low rumble vibrating through the room. "The pact feeds on desire, but her will is stronger than your promises." The entity laughed, a sound that ripped through the room like nails on a chalkboard. "Desires can be rekindled, weaknesses exploited. In time, she will falter, and I will claim her." Memories flooded Sarah's mind, the isolation, the yearning for connection that had made her vulnerable. The darkness had preyed on those very desires, and she knew the entity spoke the truth. But this time, she had a weapon. From her pocket, she clutched a faded photograph, a forgotten treasure hidden amongst the chaos of the past few days. It was a picture from her childhood Sarah, a gap-toothed grin splitting her face, standing proudly next to her mother, their arms wrapped around each other. The image pulsed with a warmth that rivaled the entity's chilling aura. This wasn't just a photograph, it was a memory, a testament to the love and kindness that defined her core. It was a love she wouldn't trade for any promise of power. With a surge of defiance, Sarah held the photograph aloft, a beacon of light against the encroaching darkness. "This," she cried, her voice ringing with newfound strength. "I choose love, friendship, and kindness. You have no power over me." A blinding light erupted from the photograph, bathing the room in a warm golden glow. The entity recoiled, a shriek of pure rage ripping from its throat. The inscription on the discarded jacket, now little more than a smoldering husk, writhed in a final, desperate protest before dissolving into ash. The light faded, leaving the room bathed in an eerie quiet. The entity was gone, banished back to the darkness from whence it came. Sarah slumped against the counter, drained but free. The teddy bear, a symbol of her childhood innocence, lay nestled in her lap. A bittersweet victory settled upon them. The darkness had been pushed back, but not eradicated. Mr. Crowley offered a grim smile. "The entity may be weakened, but it will return. Be vigilant, Sarah. The fight for your soul is never truly over." The weight of his words settled heavily on Sarah. She was forever changed by this ordeal, but not broken. The memory of her mother's love, the unwavering support of her friend, and the teddy bear, a symbol of her true self, would be her armor against the darkness that still lurked in the shadows. As she walked out of the Curious Crow, the weight of the jacket a distant memory, Sarah knew her journey had just begun. The world was no longer a place of loneliness, but a battleground where she would fight to reclaim the light, one step at a time. Crisp autumn air felt invigorating against Sarah's skin as she walked home. The weight of the cursed jacket had been lifted, replaced by a dull ache in her muscles and a lingering sense of unease. Glancing down, she clutched the worn teddy bear tighter. It felt a little heavier now, imbued with a new significance. Back in her dorm room, Emily brewed them both a pot of tea, the familiar routine, a soothing balm on Sarah's frayed nerves. As they sipped in silence, a newfound understanding bloomed between them. Sarah knew this experience had forged a bond stronger than mere friendship. The next few weeks were a blur of doctor's appointments and therapy sessions. Sarah learned to manage the lingering effects of the darkness, the whispers and shadows occasionally flickering at the edges of her vision. Slowly, she rebuilt her life. She reconnected with old classmates, genuine friendships blossoming in the warmth of shared experiences. The inscription on the jacket might have promised a shortcut to popularity, but the real connections forged through openness and vulnerability were infinitely more rewarding. One afternoon, while browsing the stacks at the library, Sarah stumbled upon a dusty book on local folklore. Flipping through the brittle pages, her breath hitched. There, nestled amongst faded illustrations of witches and goblins, was a chilling account of the entity she had encountered. It spoke of its ancient origins, its relentless pursuit of powerful vessels, and the whispers of a prophecy, a champion yet to be born, who would forever hold the entity at bay. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine. Champion, the thought felt ludicrous. Yet, as she stared down at the inscription-free denim jacket hanging limply in her closet, a flicker of determination ignited within her. Maybe, just maybe, there was more to her story than just surviving. Maybe she could become a guardian, a beacon against the encroaching darkness. With a newfound purpose blooming in her heart, Sarah closed the book, a tentative smile gracing her lips. The fight for her soul might be over, but the fight against the darkness had just begun, and this time she wouldn't face it alone.